We are past the halfway mark at the FIDE Grand Swiss 2025, and a lot of action happened in the sixth round of the event. We are going to take a look at some of the critical games in both the open and women's section. So come, let's first have a look at the game of none other than Grandmaster Anish Giri. He won his game against Grigory Oparin yesterday and today took on Marc-Andrea Morizzi, who's playing brilliant chess in this tournament. Anish played his favorite Sicilian Najdorf, and in this position, Mark went all out at him with f5. But guess what? Anish kept his cool and attacked with a4, opening up the white king. And in fact, in this attack, it was Anish who had a huge headway because he managed to attack with b3 and then put his knight on c5. And before you even knew it, he even found time to castle here, and he just checkmated the king here. Marc-Andrea Morizzi resigned in this position. So that was a very nice win by Anish Giri as he moved on to 4.5 points out of 6. Moving on, we had an incredible tactic in the game of Nihal Sarin. Nihal was playing black against Gumular Simon, the Polish number 3, and in this position, white played the move rook f4. I would request you to pause the video and figure out how should black win this position. Well, this was really beautiful because Nihal found the move knight to c3, and it attacks the queen and also threatens mate in 1 with queen g2. So white has queen f3 or queen g4, but both the moves actually lose to now a pretty tactic, which is knight e2 check. I am amazed by this move because if rook e2, there's a back rank mate. If queen e2, there's a mate on g2. And if you move the king, you lose the rook on f4. So I am in love with this move. I found it to be a very beautiful one that happened today. With this win, Nihal Sarin also moves to 4.5 points, just half a point behind the leader of the tournament, Parham Maksudlu, who is still the sole leader. He's been followed by 5 people on 4.5 points. They are Abhimanyu Mishra on 4.5, Arjun Erigaisi, Anish Giri, Matthias Bluebaum, and Nihal Sarin. So this one promises to be very, very close fight to the finish. We also had another decisive game in the open section, which was, I think, pretty important. It was the game of the world champion Domaraju Gukesh. He lost his game yesterday against Abhimanyu Mishra, and now today was looking to win against Theodoru Nicholas of Greece. And in this position, white had to bring his king in, otherwise the black pawns are running down. And that would have been a draw, but Gukesh gave a check, and that was a bad move. King e8, another check, king e7, another check, went back, check. And in this position, when he played rook a7, he claimed a draw, but it was not to be because the first time he checked, the king was on d7, and then 2 times the king was on e7. So king d8, and now Theodoru found the right sequence after move 40 and then just simply pushed his pawns down the board, stopped the white pawn with rook e1, and here Gukesh resigned as black is totally winning. So a heartbreak for the world champion. In the women's section, we had R. Vaishali, who won her game, and also Katrina Lagno, who managed to win, which means that out of the 4 leaders whom we had at the start of the round, there are now only 2 left with a score of 5 out of 6. Let's have a look at the game of Katrina Lagno as she managed to score a very nice win in this opposite colored bishop position. So here, bishop d4 was played, and this turned out to be a critical blunder by Dinara Wagner. If she just moved her rook to e3 or e1, the position is still a draw. But the main point here to note is that although this looks like a drawish endgame with the opposite colored bishops, The problem is the black king is unable to reach here on the queen side because of king coming here, and then this beautiful move bishop g4, which absolutely cuts out the black king. And now after king d6, the a pawn starts to run, the c pawn starts to run, and this is absolutely no fight. And Katrina Lagno managed to win this. So she moved on to 5 points, and Vaishali also played really well. In fact, in this position, Vaishali had just pushed her pawn to h4 against Ulvia Fatalieva, and she had to play the move h3. But the Azeri player here wasn't up to the task. She went rook e3, and Vaishali got her pawn into h3, and this position is in fact completely lost here, because there's a huge attack. You have a light squared bishop, white's dark squared bishop is not so great, and Vaishali managed to score a very important win here. She is playing really well, and she could very well win the title for the second time. But of course, Katrina Lagno is going to give her a tough fight because she is also on 5 points. We have two players on 4.5. We have Guo Qi from China and Antonetta Stefanova, who's also on 4.5 points. The players will get a much needed breather now, as the rest day falls on the 10th of September. We will be back with all the action in the 7th round. Until then, this is Sagar Shah signing off. Bye bye.